In my life, I've been blessed to see how living a life generously enriches your life and the countless people that you touch. Here at Living Lord, I've seen some beautiful and gracious acts of generosity, and I'd like to tell you about two of them. Many of you may be familiar with our Vacation Bible School ministry. Each year we minister to around 150 children through the efforts of 100 volunteers from our congregation. As you can imagine, coordinating this ministry, scheduling the activities, and supervising the day-to-day operation takes dedicated leaders. 4 years ago, one of the co-leaders of this ministry moved to Minneapolis, and then in early 2019, she moved from Minneapolis to Boston. Mindy Carmichael joined local churches in both Minneapolis and Boston, but in 2017, 18, and 19, she journeyed back to Living Lord to help lead the Vacation Bible School. She did this because she wants to ensure that she continues to help enrich the lives of our youth. I'm pleased to report that Mindy will be back in 2021 to help with this ministry. Her generosity truly inspires me. On Friday nights, our church hosts a teen mother of preschoolers group. Like the title of this group describes, the mothers in this group are children themselves, and yet they have truly huge responsibilities. And many of them are not fully prepared to face those responsibilities daily. So volunteers from our church spend countless hours finding speakers and resources to help these young women and their children grow to adulthood. Several years ago, a young Catholic woman from outside our congregation heard about this ministry and wanted to help. She decided to bless each young mother of this group with a special gift at Christmas so that these mothers would understand just how much God loved them. So anonymously, she gave each young mother a new Bible, silver cross, and a grocery gift card so they could enjoy a Christmas meal. But her generosity didn't stop there. When she heard some months later about one of the young mothers who was being abused by her mate, she paid for that young mother and child to move to Texas so that she could be next to her extended family and get their help and get out of this horrible situation. When I think of this woman, it warms my heart. As I've reflected on the generous people I've known in my life, though, one stands out dramatically. I'd like to tell you about a man I witnessed in my youth, and he gave every day generously. Tom Blount was my oldest friend's father, and growing up, I saw him live his life generously with his family, his coworkers, his neighbors, and his church. Tom was a man of modest means, but you wouldn't know it as you witnessed how many people he helped. Tom and Peggy had 5 children, 3 sons and 2 daughters. With that many mouths to feed, clothe, and educate, they lived very modestly. But that didn't stop Tom from helping Peggy's parents when late in life, they didn't have the resources to stay in their home in Wisconsin. Tom simply moved them to Omaha, where he and Peggy lived, and he paid for their housing so they could continue to live independently. A few years later, Tom also helped Peggy's brother and family relocate to Omaha and live until Peggy's brother regained his health. Tom also helped several of his neighbors who needed help because of health crises and several addictions. I remember talking to Tom when I was in my late 20s and trying to formulate how I was going to live my life. And at that time, Tom was working for a company, and the owner of that company died very, very suddenly. As I looked at Tom, I said, "Gee, will that company survive?" And Tom just laughed. He said, "Rob, let me tell you what's going to happen. His wife will become our president, and I and the fellow salesman that I work with, we're going to make her a very wealthy woman." And later, as he retired, I asked Tom, "Did you achieve your goal?" He laughed again and he said, "Very, very much so." Later, as Tom and Peggy decided to downsize and they were going to move from their neighborhood, there was a 2-day celebration on Izzard Street. Tom was crowned the king of Izzard Street, and I can tell you there hasn't been another one named king since Tom left. He'll be remembered for a long time because of the generosity and the people he loved and he helped. So as we build a culture of generosity here at Living Lord, join us by living generously and enriching your life.